BORTLE here, back from the LCS 13 event of the online format. We have here finalist Christian Thomas back to the channel. Welcome back, Christian. How are you, man?
What's up? What's up?
So, who else was on your team, Christian?
So yeah, since we won the last team event, I decided to team up again with Paulo Gonçalves and Gabriel Netz, and our team name was Team Laughing Spanish Man. And yeah, we got second this LCS. Unfortunately, we lost the finals. I won my match in the finals, but my teammate unfortunately lost against Prankits. So yeah, in the end, we lost finals.
So, how come you guys chose to play Dinosaurs, man, post Ancient Guardians?
Okay, so I to be honest, I have to go a little bit more in depth because yeah, Dino isn't a common choice at all. So everything started with last LCS when my friend June topped with a Dinosaur list. And to be honest, I wasn't super convinced of it, just because the deck notoriously has a bad Dragon Link matchup. But then Ryan, Hash, and Cormac worked on it. And they actually improved the Dragon Link matchup quite a bit because they mained cards like Phantasma, Shadow Fusion, Dark Ruler, and Droplets. So the Dragon Link matchup was favored, but I still wasn't super convinced because while the Dragon Link matchup was favored, you lost a lot of percentages against the other decks because cards like Dark Ruler, Droplets, Phantasma, they're not really great against the majority of the rest of the meta. And this meta game is still pretty diverse. Like, yeah, Dragon Link is the most played deck, but there's still like a bunch of other decks. This format is still pretty diverse. I also wasn't too convinced of this. But then Paulo and Cormac came up with the idea to just make a Dino list that is favored against everything else except for Dragon Link. So we were able to reach like 70-30 win rates against like Shadow, Prankits, Tri-Brigade, Zodiac, Eldritch. So pretty much a really, really huge chunk of the meta. But obviously, by doing that, we had to cut cards like Phantasma and Dark Ruler from the main deck, which again made the Dragon Link matchup worse. So we still had to solve the Dragon Link matchup, and we did that by playing Scythe. So whenever we knew that we were playing against Dragon Link, we just went, when we won the dice roll, we decided to go first in that matchup, and then we just Scythed our opponent, which pretty much is an insta-win in the matchup. Dino Dragon Link matchup kind of became like a combo mirror. Of course, Dino is still like not nearly as good as Dragon Link going first because it's more fragile to hand traps.
Alright, since you're representing your team today, what decks did they play, man?
So my teammates were also playing the exact same Dino list. Like, we all prepared together. We tested a lot for this event, and yeah, I mean, there were no discussion about that. This is the perfect Dino list for this event. We just played the same deck 3 times.
Alrighty, let's not beat around the bush. There was somewhat controversy over this LCS event. So, for the first time in 13 LCSs, LCS 13 decided to give out like product versus just straight up cash, which they've been doing this whole online format. So, what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, so Luxury wanted to remove the cash prizes and instead do product prizes instead. And we were a little bit sad at first, but then like day before the event, they decided to do a buy list, which pretty much meant that you would get the same amount of cash as you would usually get for the LCS, as it would still have cash prizes. So in the end, it was definitely fine, and I would still recommend players to play the next LCSs as well, because from what I heard, there will be more buy lists again, so you're still getting the same amount of cash as usual.
Okay, that's a pretty good fix right there because some people, for some weird reason, don't really want cash. They want like just the fun experience of it. But it's really cool that they did some type of buyback system, so that's really nice. Or if you wanted all those like Pot of Prosperities cards, that's cool as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing was also, if you didn't want the cash prize, you could still get the cards, because like the first place, I think you got a bunch of Pot of Prosperities and the Angle boxes. So if you didn't want cash, you could just take the pots and the Angle boxes for yourself as well. So that was also an option.
Before we start the actual deck profile, would you like to do some shoutouts, man?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely shout outs to my teammates, Paulo and Gabe. And also shout out to Ryan, Hash, Cormac, June, and Franco. They all really helped me with play testing for this event, and I honestly wouldn't have done so well without their help. And then also shout outs to my friend. He has a local store in Stuttgart, so if any German friends are watching, check his store out. The name is Honest Trading. He also has a website, and he does remote duels, so definitely check out his store.
Of course, we'll plug everything in the description down below. So without further ado, please take it away with the rest of your deck profile.
I guess I don't really have to talk about this Dino cards at this point. It's just really standard, like we're playing the triple OV, triple Misk, double Archo, double Baby, one Petite, double UCT, one Pankratops. Those are pretty much the standard Dino cards. Like, I wouldn't play more of them, I wouldn't play less. This ratio is pretty much perfect. Has been working out since LCS 6 back in September of last year. Then, which is not really common, is the one Giant Rex. So we made the addition of Giant Rex because of the Scythe combo. Because like I said, when we knew it was Dragon Link, we just chose first and went for the Artifact Doctor, Artifact Scythe combo. And when doing this combo, we needed Rex in our deck because it makes the combo a little bit better because you are ending on UCT and a Baby on board if you have Giant Rex in your deck, which you wouldn't be able to do if you don't play Giant Rex. And also, if you only open Lost Run and Oviraptor, you need Giant Rex to do the combo in the first place. Otherwise, you don't have enough monsters. So that's why we play Giant Rex, but it's also not like that Giant Rex is a bad card in other matchups. Like, it's still good. It helps to play through draw sometimes, which is a commonly used hand trap right now, since you can send the Rex with Ovi and then banish it with the Pill or with the Misk. So that's nice, and it also helps just OTKing. And then we played the 3 Gamma, 3 Ash, and the 1 Driver. Those were pretty good hand traps right now. Like I said, the main goal for this deck wasn't really to beat Dragon Link, it was more to beat the other decks. And those are just really good cards against like Shadow, Prank Hits, then the Tri-Brigade variants. It was pretty solid hand traps overall. Then, like I explained before, the 1 Scythe to Scythe Dragon Link players. Then we played triple Lost World, 1 Terraforming, which is really, really good this format again, especially against Shadow. Lost World is just a win condition because they can't use their Alistar, so it's pretty easy to deal with Rinder in this deck whenever you have Lost World, since your 1800 attack monsters just to take over it, because there's no Alistar, so OV Lost World, OV Misk deals with Rinder. Also, the non-targeting is pretty relevant because it turns off punishment. So Lost World is probably my favorite card in this deck. And then we played 3 Fossil Dig, 3 Prosperity as consistency cards. Prosperity in this deck is honestly also really, really insane because you can just dig for like Storm, Feather Duster, which were the next 4 cards that I played. And like against matchups like Prank Hits or Tri-Rezu, they're also playing many traps. If you just have like the 3 Storms, 1 Duster, and 3 Prosperity, you have like a really good chance of seeing them going second. So that was also nice. Then we played the 1 Callby, just because people are playing Ash and Roll at the moment, so it helps with that. But then it's also good against the engine of some decks. For example, against Prank, it's going second. You could do it on the Bow Wow when they try to add back. When you're playing against Shadow, you could prevent Ariel, which is pretty huge in that matchup. Like, they're always trying to banish your Misk, so helps with that as well. And then against Dragon Link, of course, it's really good against Seal. And then the last 2 main deck cards were just a double Evolution Pill. So for the side deck, we just pretty much played the cards that Ryan, Hash, and Cormac played in their main deck when they were trying to beat Dragon Link. Because, like I said before, they main cards like Phantasma, Shadow, Fusion, Dark Ruler, because those cards are really good against Dragon Link. But we wanted a more generic deck game run. But obviously, post-side, we still needed those to beat Dragon Link, just because the matchup is that popular. And they were also sideable against other matchups, of course. So we sided Triple Phantasma, which is good against Dragon Link, but it's also good against the Tri-Brigade Zoo deck, for example. Then we decided to play the Shadow cards, which I guess also aren't super standard, so I will explain a bit there. So the Shadow package was pretty much 3 Shadow Fusion, 1 Ariel, and 1 Dragon. We sided them against Dragon Link because the matchup, when you go second against Dragon Link, if you're able to break the board, it's usually not enough because they have a lot of follow-up. But the Shadow cards really solved that issue because you could just Anaconda them, and then you send Ariel and Dragon from your deck and make a Rinder. So what that does is pretty much you have a Floodgate on board, which is Rinder, which is obviously insane against Dragon Link. But then you can also Dragon the boot sector and you can Ariel their resources. So you would usually banish Chamber, Recharger, and the Chaos Ruler from Graveyard. So at this point, you pretty much won the game. And that was honestly a really good addition to the deck. And also shout out to Ryan Hash Comic again for this idea. And for June, he was the first person who played this. And also the Shadows entered against Tri-Brigade Zoo as well, because obviously Dragon would deal with the back row, Epsilon could negate Appaloosa, and the Ariel would be chaining 3 to chain block, so it's also a really good card in that matchup. Then we play Triple Dark Ruler, mainly against Dragon Link, but also against Shaddoll and Tri-Brigade Zoo. Then the one Cosmic, this might seem random, but it's just for side pattern purposes. So against Shaddoll, we needed one more card to side in, and we decided that Cosmic Cyclone was the best card in that spot. So it's pretty much only for that reason, but Cosmic also entered against matchups like Tri-Brigade Zoo, if they are playing trap heavy, and also against Pure Zoo and Zodiac Eldlich. And then the last 3 cards were 3 Sanctum, which were mainly for Dragon Link. Again, Dragon Link is the most played deck. It's the worst matchup of this deck in theory. So we just wanted something that increased our going first even more. And obviously Sanctum was like the best card in our opinion against that matchup. It's also good against Virtual World and Pure Zoo though. So lastly, for the extra deck, it's also kind of standard for the most part. Obviously we played Linkry with Secure Gardener. Then we played one Anaconda for the Shaddoll cards. We played Dacta for Scythe. Then Panther Stack, which comes up a lot. Like, it's really easy to OTK with this deck. Then we played the Lambda for Gamma. We played Phoenix, one Dugares, one Drella, one Castel, which is also not super standard, but you use it to out Mega Clops. And sometimes it also comes up against Brankets, because the way they usually play this matchup is they don't go for Butler because of Misk. So Butler is not really good against Dino. They would more go for Rosha to bring back 2 links, because then it's a little bit harder for you to kill them, because both of them can't be destroyed by battle. So Castel was a good solution to shuffle 1 link back to give them less follow-up play for the next turn if you're not able to kill them. And then for the rest of the extra, it was 1 Tornado, 1 Dolka, and 3 Shaddoll cards. And yeah, that was the Dino list.
Wow, this list is pretty juicy, and I do love that Prosperity is just such an easy turn 1 play, because you have all these Shaddoll cards that are completely useless.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the game 1 benches were definitely really easy. That was also cool. Like, I didn't have to think much about that.
Okay, let's wrap it up with one more question. What happened in the finals? Why'd you guys lose?
The finals were a little bit unfortunate. Like, I couldn't get to see Gabe's game, but Paulus' game was the last one to finish, and we were both watching. And I think we had this match pretty much under control, but then our opponent top decked the Prankotops to win the game, and that was pretty much game winning. I think he didn't have much top decks. I think we would only lose to Prankotops, Pandemonium, and Droplets. And we didn't even know if he played Droplets or not, so that was a little bit unfortunate, but I mean, it happens, of course.
And again, thank you so much, Christian Thomas, for being on the channel again, showcasing your Dinosaur deck profile, giving all these explanations. Thank you again.
Thank you, thank you.
And listeners, if you're not a part of BORTLE Nation, sub for BORTLE. It's that easy and it's free. Oh god, yes. BORTLE out.